Welcome to Rezzed. The sun is out and we are sat here talking to Dave from Smudged Cat Games.
Hello.
How are you?
Yes, very well, thank you. Enjoying the show.
Good. Have you managed to catch anything that's you've been wanting to see yet?
I've been playing a few of the other left field games, the left field collection games. Some of the indie stuff is quite interesting. Not quite so interested in the first person shooter stuff that's on display, but
the left field collection is wonderful. It's really great to see those indie guys come out, and also for Sega to actually sponsor it and help those guys.
Yeah, it's really
get
cool. Yeah, I'm definitely grateful for them for giving Gateways a chance as well.
Yeah, it's really nice to help out the little guys. So
yeah, it's cool.
So Smudged Cat is just you, but there's one other guy there as well, isn't there?
Well, yeah, Smudged Cat is just me, really.
Yeah.
But with all my games, I tend to work with other people. I'm a programmer, so I can't really draw anything. So yeah, all my games have someone else doing the artwork.
I know that. It's like, I have designed the best game ever. However, it is a stick man.
It looks awful. Yes, that's generally what happens. I'm very much programmer art when I start out my games. So for Gateways, I work with a guy called Bennett at Fat Cat Comics, who's done all the artwork for it. Some of my other games, Shuggy, I work with a guy called Chris Hildenbrand, a guy in Australia, who I've only met the once.
Really? You've only met the once?
Yeah, so it's a bit strange. A lot of remote working, but it seems to work out.
Okay, so let's of course start with Shuggy. It's a game that I took a look at very recently, and you were gracious enough to actually give us some keys to give away.
Yeah, no worries.
Fantastic game. Where did the concept for that come from?
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed the game. Difficult to say where the concept came from. There's so many different concepts in the game. The whole game is based around
the setting, I guess, the whole mansion thing, and just Shuggy in general. It's a wonderfully designed character.
Well, the character design is really done by that guy, Chris, that I worked with. Let's say I can't do any artwork side, so I just sort of designed the levels of the game, all the different mechanics that you get in the game, and he was really responsible for that sort of setting of the mansion and all the different areas, and the character design for Shuggy himself.
Because the mansion is wonderfully set up. You've got this very non-linear design through it. You can do levels in any order within some limitation because of how they open, but it really is a fantastic game to actually work through, and all the mechanics that you've got in there, the time travel, the rotation, and just it's crazy.
Yeah, there is an awful lot of stuff in there. It was definitely one of the design decisions where you're talking about the kind of, you can approach the levels in any way. It definitely was a design decision that you would always have at least a few options for different levels to play. Because I hate that feeling of playing through a game and then you get to a certain level and then that's you completely stuck.
There was one level in particular I really loved in that, which was, I believe it's in the first area. However, you stay essentially perfectly still. You move in a very small area and you have to just rotate the level around you to move all of the gems so you can then pick them up.
Yes, guide them around.
That's a fantastic idea. The fact that the character is actually staying still and you're just manipulating the level around him to complete it.
Well, it's just one of several different mechanics in the game. But yeah, it was just these things that kind of arise from sort of working out different things. I mean, I originally had the levels that rotate and the sort of standard levels where you can jump around the different parts of the level to collect all the gems.
Yeah.
And then I kind of thought, I wonder how it would be if, rather than doing it that way around, you have a guy trapped in the middle and have to move the gems around.
I wasn't expecting it. The first thing I did on that level was I died because I just kind of, I was like, okay, I'll try and do this. And then it was like, I tried to move and it was like, okay, so I'm stuck in this box.
Yes. Yeah, it's one of the things with Shuggy. It always tries to throw different things at you. Try not to let the player get too bored. Yeah. I mean, there's some other levels where you can't move the character at all, and you can only rotate the level, so that you have to make the character drop to collect some of the gems.
The one that was a real curveball to me was there's one where you actually have help from other Shuggys or Shuggy's friends.
Yes, yeah.
The different coloured ones, and you have to go and free them by opening buttons and laser grids, and then they'll go and set up so that you can actually get through. The AI on those really impressed me. I was sat there, because you've essentially got AI going through a platform level with moving pieces and everything.
Yeah.
To see that work flawlessly the first time, like I didn't have them glitch out, I didn't have anything go wrong. That's really impressive coding.
Well, I'm glad you were fooled by that, but there is no AI involved in it at all. It's basically replaying a series of key presses, which I had recorded, which is why it works flawlessly. They will follow. Well, there's, I think for each section of the map, there's sort of 2 or 3 different options they can take, so it looks as if they might be doing something slightly different each time.
Really?
If you replay the level. But yeah, it is just replaying key presses, so there's no intelligence there whatsoever. But as you saw, it works very well.
That's you completely had me fooled. I was like, so you've done
I'm
something
glad I managed
really
to
simple, but it was actually wow. So let's of course move on to gateways. Gateways uses similar mechanics in some ways. You have the rotation, you have the time travel, but it's utilizing it in a completely different way.
Yeah. I mean, it's very, I can't lie, it's very heavily inspired by Portal, but set in a 2D setting. So yeah, you can put down two gateways as they're called in the game, and yeah, pop through one gateway and come out the other. But yes, as you say, it does expand on that by then having different types of gateway gun, which lets you do all these different things very similar to what happens in Shuggy.
Yeah. So you're wearing a T-shirt with, of course, the Gateways guy on
Gateways on here.
Yes. So do you want to give us a bit of information about him, a bit of backstory for the people that are watching? Is there a backstory to it?
About what in terms of the actual...
in terms of what you're doing and the character in general.
Well, yeah, I mean, the character in the game is a character called Ed, who's named after my father-in-law. And he's trapped in his lab. Something seems to have gone wrong. He wakes up not really sure, having what's happened.
Yeah.
And things seem to have been changed around in his lab. And it's he sets about trying to find out what's gone on and what's happened. So.
Yeah.
There is a bit of a story there. I mean, the game's centred around more the puzzles than the storyline. But yeah, there is a little storyline in there as well to get people to play along.
See, that's always nice because some of the smaller games, they don't focus too much on story because it's a case of they're more interested in just the game instead.
Yeah.
So to actually have, even if it's a small amount, just that little bit of story there to help flesh out the game, to make it a little bit better, to make it stand out that little bit more. That's
I think it does help.
Detail.
I think when you're an indie developer, there's so many things that you have to do. Yeah, if you're developing a story, you've got all the levels and all the coding and things. There's so many bits that I think inevitably some indie games decide to leave out a certain element. If it's a story-driven game, obviously they'll have a story, but it might be missing. It might be a much shorter game, or something generally gets left out.
So if you had to pick one of the two characters, which would it be? Would it be Shuggy or would it be Ed?
Well, pick them for what? As my favourite?
Yeah.
Well, that's a tricky one. I would probably say I prefer Shuggy as a design, probably.
I can agree with that. I think Shuggy's quite a cool character.
He's a lot easier to code with as well in terms of making the game because he's a lot more square.
Yeah.
So I can just make him a square collision box rather than whereas Ed is he's quite tall.
Yeah.
It makes him a little bit more awkward for collision detection in the game.
Is there anything in either of the games that you're really proud of? Either a bit of code that you're happy with that it does even better than you expected, or just a level or anything like that?
I think for gateways, it would definitely be just that view through of the different gateways and stuff.
Yes,
that
which
you
is
put down.
Fantastic.
Which seems to attract most people. They seem to think it's quite cool when they first see it. I think when I was developing it, obviously it was one of the first things that came up when I was developing gateways. But when I did that, I kind of thought, oh yeah, that's really cool. Just the way it smoothly transitions from one portal to another, you sort of walk through, and it's quite seamless because of the way the view works. It's pretty cool.
Okay, excellent. Do you want to go ahead and tell people where they can grab either of those games, where the best place to grab them is?
Yeah, sure. Well, you can find information about both of them from my website, which is www.smudgedcat.com, which is smudged with a D, cat. Everyone thinks it's Smudged Cat. And you can find info about Shuggy and Gateways on there. You can download Gateways from my website, but Shuggy you can get from the website, and it's also available on Steam as well.
Okay.
Hopefully Gateways will be coming to Steam at some point, but we'll see how that goes.
Okay, excellent. I don't think there's anything else I actually need to ask you.
Okay, great.
So, thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you for speaking to me.
How are you enjoying Brighton before we end this? Are you
I've
enjoying the sun now?
Never been to Brighton before, so I'm enjoying it very much. It seems like a really nice place. Always makes you think of being on holiday when you go by the sea.
It lied to you about being a nice place, but
oh, really?
Yeah. I'm sure someone will lynch me for that one on my way out of here.
Right, you're not a fan of Brighton then?
Been here too many times, and it was raining earlier. It's a pretty miserable place at times. But the weather is behaving itself now.
Yes, it's definitely turned a lot brighter now. It's very nice out there.
Excellent. So thank you very much for your time, and
Thank you
I hope to catch you around the floor.
Great.
Thank you.